Kari. I started Lux Boudoir 14 years ago. Over the years, we've helped thousands of women feel empowered and discover their self-confidence with boudoir. Today, I'm going to show you how we help women see themselves in a different light.
Hi, Patricia. Thanks for coming in today.
Hi, Kari.
So we'd love to get to know you a little bit better. So tell us a little bit about you, where you came from, how long have you lived in Canada, all of those things.
My name's Patricia. I'm originally from Virginia and the Appalachian Mountains, a cute little area from a little valley. I ended up moving to the Midwest of the States for grad school and then made my way to Canada, and I've lived here for about 10 years. I love having the mountains and the ocean and just love it here.
Yeah, it's so nice.
So nice.
So tell me a little bit about doing something like boudoir shoot. Like, it sounds like you came from a pretty, for lack of a better word, wholesome upbringing. What stopped you from doing a boudoir shoot in the past? Or has there been a catalyst of being yeah, this is the time I'm going to do it?
So yeah, growing up it was, I never really showed my body a lot and whatever, coming from the South, that was just something that we didn't do or talk about. We didn't talk about our bodies or sexuality. And so growing up, didn't think about it. And then as an adult, I love being outdoors and whatnot. So I feel like my comfortable clothes are jeans and a t-shirt,
right.
And being in outdoor gear and whatnot, having the hair back and no makeup. And so it was just not something I ever really thought about. I guess it took me a long time to feel comfortable in my own skin and to feel confident. And we all have things that we're self-conscious about, and one of my things was I have a giant scar on my chest, and growing up it was something that was pointed out, oh, that's not really sexy, should you wear that v-neck shirt because it shows your scar? Wow. And those types of things. So it took me a while to feel confident in my body, and then being outdoors and doing all these things and reaching the top of mountains and whatnot made me love my body, because it can do all these things. Even if there are parts of it that I might not love, I appreciate it. And I feel like with time, I've learned to love all parts of my body, even the things that are considered maybe flaws. And so having a boudoir shoot, I think, will just bring it all together, and just seeing my body in a different light, and not just the mechanics of it can get you to places, but it can also be visually beautiful as well, and hoping to bring those two sides, the inside and the outside, together.
That's beautiful. That's awesome. So talking about being healthy, so you mentioned that you have a scar on your chest. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
I have had open heart surgery. So when I was 5 years old, in the States you have to have what is it called? A doctor's check before you go to kindergarten, a physical. And at the physical, they were like, oh, you have a heart condition, go to a cardiologist. Went to the cardiologist, they checked me out, and they said, okay, come back when you're 10. It should be nothing, but we'll double check. So when I was 10, my parents didn't take me back because life got in the way. And then when I was 15, I wanted to play lacrosse for high school, but you had to have a physical. And my family doctor never said anything, and he was busy. So I went into a walk-in clinic near my grandmother's house, and the doctor had me doing the weirdest things, lay down on the bed and sit up, and she would listen to me. Sit down and stand up, and she would listen to me. And it was very bizarre. And then she called my mom into the room and said, you need to go to a cardiologist. So I went to the cardiologist, and then they said, oh my gosh, how is your heart beating right now? And you need surgery, and we can't deal with you here, so we have to send you to a different location because we didn't have the services to take care of me. So I ended up going to University of Virginia, and they checked me out. They were like, yeah, you definitely need surgery. And this was all in the beginning of April, and the beginning of June, I had surgery. I was 15 years old, so I just finished grade 9. Yeah, they did valve replacements, and the recovery was rough, as you can imagine. As a 15-year-old wanting to be active with your friends, and you couldn't do all of that. And then you had this scar down your chest, and you're at that age where you're developing, and figuring out who you are, and as a teenager wanting to wear low-cut shirts and everything, but everyone's like, oh, you have a scar, you have a scar. And yeah, I had to take care of it a lot and put the, vitamin E oils on it so it wouldn't stay red and whatnot. But that's what it's from, but I wouldn't be alive without it,
So how did that affect your, your confidence?
It definitely impacted my body image because I was a lanky teenager. I was the same height as I am now, so like 5'4", and I was quite thin because of my heart condition. My body wasn't absorbing nutrients, so I was sick quite often, and I was just like this scrawny teenager, and so I never felt beautiful.
So how did you sort of come out the other side? Because you've clearly come out the other side of that, right?
Yeah.
So how did, what was it, something happened in your life that made you realize that you're not broken and this is just something that, in order to improve your body, you needed to do this, but?
I think it was a slow over time thing. When I left Virginia and I went to grad school in St. Louis in the Midwest, that was the first time I was able to get out of where I grew up and where kind of you felt like everyone knew you and everyone knew your story. And even if they didn't, I just felt like there was so much history there that my story was already written there. So when I moved to St. Louis, I was able to start being myself without all of these restrictions. And I was like, who am I and what do I like? And I just really focused on myself then. Yeah, and then after that, moving even further west, and I realized that I missed the mountains of Virginia, and I started going hiking and feeling that connection to the earth, and then seeing what my body could do and the movement, and that it can get you from place A to B. And I was like, wow, that's empowering that your body can do that. I must not be broken if I could do that. My body can do that. And then going through the emotional side of things, because I felt like I started accepting the outside of my, or the mechanics of my body, that it can do these things, and it's beautiful because it can do these things. And then accepting the outside of my body was a process as well. And then one time I was hiking on one of the local mountains, and I don't know why, I had a heart monitor on, because the cardiologist had me have one on. I was having some challenges, and I got to the top of the mountain, and having the heart monitor on really just reminded me of that inner brokenness again, but I didn't want to feel that because I knew that it was powerful. And so on top of the mountain, I took all of my clothes off, and I just stood there naked on the mountain and just sat on the rock and started bawling because I had gotten there and it was so beautiful outside, and I felt so beautiful because I could be there, and I wasn't broken anymore. And I don't know why, but being able to be on the mountain and see the world and how small I am in the world, and being connected to nature without any labels on, it was empowering. And after that moment, I just realized that I was enough. And so now whenever I go hiking and I feel this connection to the earth, I take all my clothes off on top of a mountain and I just sit with Mother Nature and realize that I'm part of that, and she's so beautiful.
Wow, that's really beautiful. And I'm now crying. That's really amazing. That is such a beautiful story. I'd love to know more about your surgery.
Yeah, so it's called bicuspid aortic valve insufficiency. The aortic valve goes to your aortic arch, which is what sends blood to your whole body, to your carotid arteries and such. So it's a really important valve to have. So instead of having 3 leaflets, I had 2. Insufficiency just means it backflows. So there was basically a leak in that, so I wasn't getting the amount of blood I needed to my whole body. So they said, oh, we need to change that valve. So they took the pulmonary valve, which has the oxygenated blood from the lungs, and they put that in the aortic place. And then I have a donor valve. Organ donation is really important, I feel, because without it, I wouldn't have the lifestyle that I have. I had the option of a donor valve or a man-made valve. human tissue, you know, works better in our own bodies. So that was the surgery that we chose. It was terrifying as a 15-year-old to have heart surgery because you think of old people having heart problems.
Yeah.
And so it was a big joke with my friends that I have an old lady name and an old lady heart. Yeah, I feel like media, you know, it changes. When I was younger and the magazines were like, oh, you have to be thin, rail thin, you have to, you know, wear crop tops and whatever and look this way. And then it got to where, oh, you're supposed to have a booty and you're supposed to be curvy and this and that. And it was always on those types of things, but it wasn't real life like, oh, it's okay to have a scar and to be beautiful. So I never saw myself in the media. It was all fake, you know, because you can't look like they show you. And so that was challenging to be like, you don't see anyone with a scar on there, so it must not be attractive or beautiful. And I think that we need to show more of those real things because it is empowering to go through something that saves your life and have a scar from it. And that's sexy and it's okay to have that. But being a smaller person, everyone's like, oh, you're thin, that's okay. You must be so confident and you must feel sexy all the time because you're thin and you meet the dimensions that society says you're supposed to be sexy. They just look at the outside and they're just like, oh, well, you're that, so you can't have any problems. You must not have any insecurities. And I feel like that's what society tells us and that's what media tells us, but that's not really true because look at all the people that are models, you know, typically they're not really happy with who they are. And yeah, I hope that we start talking more about what's really in there, and being healthy is sexy, not a certain size.
That's so important. I mean, at Lux, we strive to really showcase all bodies and all sizes and show that everyone's beautiful, you know, whether you have, you know, scars or no scars or stretch marks or, you know, baggy skin from losing weight or whatever it is, right? So it's really important. I think that it's one of the reasons why we do what we do, is to make women realize that they're beautiful no matter what they look like. With your heart condition, you said you go to the doctor pretty regularly. Would you potentially have to have surgery again in your life, or is it just something that, you know, like they've fixed it and they just kind of monitor you to make sure that everything's good?
Yeah, I will definitely have to have surgery again in the future. It's something that's monitored. Actually, I go for an MRI this coming week. Yeah, so I have an MRI every other year, and the other year I have like a stress test where they put you on a bike or a treadmill. I have a great team of doctors. I have 2 cardiologists here that I go see. Yeah, at some point I will have to have surgery again. And I think in the beginning it was hard for me to be like, oh, I have to have surgery, but when? And now I just have to let go and say, oh, it's going to happen in the future and let's live for today. And that definitely took a while to accept. But it's kind of nice in a way to be like, it's out of my control and live every day for what it is. And I have someone else's tissue in my body beating in my heart. And so I want to live life for that person too. So I want to live for their life too and not be focused on when am I going to have surgery again? Is it going to stop my lifestyle as it is? And just enjoy what I am able to do right now.
So have you ever, short of this experience, have you ever thought about doing a boudoir shoot before?
You know, after I got naked on top of the mountain, I did think about it. I was like, oh, but I don't know if I feel comfortable in 4 walls and a ceiling getting naked. I feel comfortable outside where no one's here to judge me, and you know, the judgment of myself is here and can blow away with the wind. So I thought about it, but I don't know that I had the confidence, or I wasn't comfortable enough in my skin yet because I was just accepting myself in the outdoors.
Right.
So it's something that had been coming, and then getting older, I have more friends that are doing boudoir and, you know, doing it before kids and after kids. So it was something I definitely started to think about, and hearing their experiences with it and how positive it was. I was like, maybe that is something that I'd be interested in. And then this opportunity happened. I was like, well, that seems like a sign from the universe to try it out.
Coming into this experience, do you have like a hope for an outcome, or a anything you're wanting to experience through doing a boudoir shoot?
I mean, I'm excited that it's something that's completely out of my comfort zone in an indoor setting, and I've never had my hair and makeup done or anything like this, and then talking about myself is a weird experience too. But I'm hoping out of this to kind of put more puzzle pieces together and help on that journey of realizing that, you know, I am beautiful in every setting, and I'm curious to know what it'll be like to see the pictures from it, to put that where my appreciation of how my body works and put that together with the outer part of my body and to see myself in a different light. Yeah, maybe it's how other people see me, but I've never seen myself that way.
Have you had any experience of like feeling less desirable because of your scar, like with partners or anything like that? You were just saying you know, obviously loving yourself is important, but have you felt that, you know, that's hindered relationships? Or
my grandmother, as much as I love her, when I was in high school going to prom, I tried on a dress that had a really deep V, and she said, "Oh, I don't think you should wear that because it has your scars displayed."
And did you find that like having that, like your grandmother, who's somebody you look up to, say that to you, did that shape your, like shape you in terms of like, well, yeah, okay, yeah, like I look up to this person, so clearly the scar is a bad thing, or I'm unattractive because of it?
Yeah, it definitely impacted me and shaped me, and I felt like it made me undesirable, and it definitely shaped that idea of beauty and meeting the societal standards, because that's what she had given into, is the societal standards. And instead of looking at it, oh, that saved your life, like it's beautiful because now you're here because of that, it was, well, you need to hide that. It took a long time, yeah, to want to come out and show that side of me and be like, I'm okay with that, I'm proud of that.
I mean, especially even what we do here, like we have on our, you probably saw our thing, it's like, what are your Photoshop expectations? And like, that's one of the things is like, you know, some people are like, yeah, I want to hide all the things, or I want to show them all off, you know, because like with stretch marks, or, you know, like mamas that have kids, they're like, yeah, that's part of who I am and how I, you know, like I was able to have children and I have stretch marks to prove it. And, you know, so it's, I think, really important for people to understand that like either way is fine, whatever makes you the most comfortable, you know, and whatever you feel the best in your skin.
Yes, and I would never want my scar hidden anymore, because it's a part of that story, just like the people, the mamas that have the stretch marks and everything, because it's part of the story, and our bodies are just the story of what's happened to us.
Exactly. With us here too, like we want our clients to do this for themselves first and foremost, and then if their partner is lucky enough to see the photos, you know, but it's like, this is an experience for you. It's not just for, you know, somebody else. So you said you didn't wear a lot of makeup. So what is the reason behind that? Like, do you just not sure what to do, or?
A few different reasons. One is I think my skin would be angry if I wore it every day. Yeah, I'm not really sure what to do. Yeah, I'm not comfortable putting it on myself. So it doesn't make me feel confident if you don't know what to do, but I feel comfortable without it.
Have you ever had like your full makeup done before?
No. Oh wow. I look like a glorified version of myself. I feel like I didn't know that I could look like a magazine. It's beautiful. Yeah. It's very different than normal, but very, yeah. Wow. I still feel like me, yeah, because me is on the inside, but it's a different outside, and it's beautiful, and I feel like it highlights the parts of myself that I like in a different way, and it makes me feel like beautiful in a way that I didn't know that I could feel beautiful, where you look at other people and you're like, wow, she's stunning, but I didn't know that I had features, and I'm speechless.